And we are live. Welcome back to On the King's Dime. It's Monday night, a weekend of double L's. I think last Tuesday, wasn't it? The first L was last Tuesday, and then an agonizing L to discuss on the weekend against the Adelaide 36ers. Tough to take. It's a struggle to start the season. We're here to discuss it, though. We're going to go through just what we're going through at the moment as a team in general. Then we'll go through the two games, Brisbane and Adelaide 36ers. But as always, like, share, and subscribe. We are now on audio platforms, Podcast Addict and Apple Podcasts. We are on Podcast Addict. I don't have Android, so I can't check. You're the man who needs to check.
I don't believe so.
Oh, okay, we'll get on we'll get on that. But we are on Apple Podcasts if you want to listen to us on audio form. We're also on YouTube if you want to listen to us there, and we are streaming live at the moment on Facebook. Just an absolute struggler of two games to discuss. I think first we'll just talk armchair COVID. A little bit of armchair COVID talk. Then we'll talk a little bit about. We'll do a 4-game health check on what we're feeling to start with. Our first postponement in fixtures. Yes. Perth,
WA just living their best life, and then
COVID. beep beep. So I haven't looked completely into it. I've only looked at like the fixture postponement, but I don't actually know like it's the new strain or something. Is it?
They haven't. Well, there's no genomic sequencing back yet as to the strain, but one would assume it's probably a mutated strain. It was funny because there was just the chief health medical officer just came out and said, "This quarantine is rubbish. This poor security guard has just been left out to dry," because apparently he's an Uber driver as well. And it's just like, why is someone who's working in a hotel quarantine needing to work a second job? Like, why is this happening? Like, what is wrong with what is wrong with society when the people that are guarding the economy from shutting down have to go and work Uber jobs?
Yeah, it's crazy because that's the same thing that happened in New South Wales, basically. Basically, it was like, "You what? The shifts in Victoria? Yeah, sweet. I'm out. I'll go and work those shifts as well." And you're like, "What? Why are you working in 2 different places? You nut job."
Yeah, it's just poor form. But you know what? The problem with WA is that their population has not had an outbreak in ever. Like they didn't really have a first wave, they didn't have a second wave, and they haven't had any outbreaks in 10 months. And I got people that work there and colleagues and things like that. Mate, life is normal. They don't think there's no social distancing of bars. There's nothing. So if this does get out, then it's going to be I think Perth may be relocating for a little bit.
Yeah, well, I did see on the NBL website that they have left. So they were due to play the Breakers this weekend. That game was postponed just quietly. Did you see that hilarious game-winning miss from Wagstaff?
Yeah.
That was great. Couldn't have happened to a nicer bloke. So they postponed that game against the Breakers. They were set to play the Breakers again this round as a round fixture of round 4. But Brisbane are playing United. That's moved from Thursday to Friday, and then they obviously Brisbane can't play Friday, Saturday, so they moved the fixture of the Breakers Taipans to the Friday. So it's like it's getting chaotic.
Wasn't when is this playing tournament? When was this supposed? It wasn't supposed to happen in round 4. Like what?
I'm not sure.
What's going on? This is just maybe they should put out like a rough draw of like what's happening, because we're 2 games behind Adelaide. Adelaide have played like 6 games. I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Yep.
And for very little,
So have Cairns too, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, so for very little preseason games that Sydney played, it's just, and the fact that their all-star import Jarrell Martin came off a plane kind of like a week and out of quarantine like a week before the season started. What did they expect this season to be for Sydney? Like what we were just laughing before. Like we thought that this could go very badly, and it's not going extremely badly, but it is worrying.
So have we got any more sort of COVID coverage, armchair COVID?
No.
I don't think I think the games are supposed to be coming back in February. Sydney's, pretty much got it relatively under control as well. So hopefully we can see our arena back in action. this month or maybe in the next couple of rounds. Hopefully the NBL Cup doesn't just come up and it's like, well, you're waiting another month now for fixtures. So
Yeah.
hopefully we get into our home arena. That before we get into the actual team, it was interesting to see in the couple of the post games, they're all talking about, we've got to take on the road dog mentality. We haven't been home in weeks. And it just took me back to that Stephen Adams quote where he's like, mate, it's not Syria. It's just like, yeah. But at the same time, I can understand this having an effect on our performances.
Yeah, it has an effect on your performances, I think, obviously being away. But, you're paid professional. It's what you're meant to do. You're meant to turn up night in, night out.
But I like half of me wants to go, suck it up, boys. But at the same time, I equate it to the way we're performing, and I don't see the road dogs, junkyard dogs. Like I kind of still see the same bad bits from last year in these performances, and we had there was a spark in that Adelaide game near the end where there was a lot of full court press, and it looked like we're trying to take the game into our own hands, get junkyard with it, and that kind of worked. But at the same time, as an overall rhythm of this team, I don't see the we're going to play like junkyard dogs, road warriors. I'm still seeing just, we lost. Oh, well, what a shame. Shake hands. Let's go home, boys. Let's, we'll get home soon. It's all good. It's a bit worrying.
Unless they think that because they're on the road for, all these games, that they're going to go home and have a stretch of 12 home games, which they're just going to, get the crowd behind them and win 12 in a row and sneak into the finals. But, looking at this team and kind of the mentality is, it just doesn't feel all connected yet.
No,
it feels like it feels very disjointed, and at times terrible.
Yeah, that's just how many things can you come up with before you just blurt out, oh, we're terrible, you know what I mean?
We're not. No, I don't say we're terrible. I think that I don't agree with some of the lineups that are being put on the floor. I think that we don't have a true point guard, and that's definitely showing. And we're really missing a rim protector, and we have no inside game. There's no block game at all. Moller's offense
it's Jarrell basically, and you can tell, like you said, it looks like he's just 3 weeks into a stint in a league, trying to get to know guys. His inside defense is very sus. But when you're throwing him in these lineups with Moller and Hunter, who are both a couple of guys that look around after there's a drive, trying to find who they're supposed to be guarding. I've noticed that happening a fair few times. We can't obviously fault Jarrell for just coming in off a plane and giving us these performances, because on offense too, he's been fantastic, absolutely fantastic for us.
Oh yeah, he's not a true center though. That's the problem. He's kind of a power forward who can maybe play a bit of backup sentiments. But we have to say that Diddy out injured,
massive.
Cook's out injured, Kickett out injured. Kickett, I think, adds another level of offense to our game that we're missing, with still some relatively sensible paint defense. He's not going to block shots, but he's a pretty big dude and can put his body in the right positions to defend very well. Whereas I think Jordan Hunter is good in stretches when his timing's on, but he also bites just a little bit too much on a lot of plays.
He's very, very. I'm looking to find something to do, like get a steal, get a block, trying to come up with a play rather than let the play come to him. He gets very and then suddenly guys like Sobey will just sweet, you've come to me, I'll just dime somebody up, and he's left turning around looking, going, oh no, and then. Instead of making these plays that build rhythm and I've got to stop here. I made a play. I didn't get the block, but I made a play at least. They dumped off at the rim and we got to stop anyway. He seems to come up with these plays where everything breaks down and they just score an easy bucket and you're left going, oh, that doesn't build that rhythm.
He's a bit overzealous in his defense instead of trying to, box out. He grabs boards quite efficiently, and so does Moller. Moller crashes the glass, but I think that problem is as well as he crashes the glass. And then he kind of slinks off his man and doesn't box out efficiently. And that's for the long rebounding game. I think that's always been a Sydney problem ever since we started doing this podcast. Is the long rebounding. What happens when they start hoiking up threes and it goes out to the left and the right? We seem to be all concentrated around the paint instead of getting it getting out there and in positions where we can potentially pick up the ball and get out on the fast break. But yeah, there's definite flaws in the team as it is currently, and just too much of a Vodanovic shooting the ball. I mean, he's just
He's got no filter though, man. He'll just come out and do anything. I mean, he's knocked down a couple of shots where you're like, okay, all right, Tommy, nice. But a couple of times you're just like, no, don't shoot that. 22 on the shot clock. You pulling up from 3. Like, no, stop that. Inside, he's been all right. Like, but again, we're just missing that rim protector. And with the Bogut departure, how much of a transition time do you give a team to go, oh, well, you lost an elite rim protector. Now, where do you go from here? Like, you're looking at this crew of guys going, well, none of you guys are going to block shots. So what else can we do? Like, how much is the time lag? I think it's longer than 4 games to work out how this team gels on defense.
Why did we not just go out and get Isaac Humphries? I don't understand. He's a Sydney boy. He's a, ex-rookie of the year for Sydney. Why do we just not go out and go, we need that guy? That fills every void in our team. And
he's Landale.
Yeah, I think Landale was always going
to even Jack White. Jack White's not necessarily
not
necessarily going to be an elite rim protector, but
I just think Humfo's just that guy that gives you 20 points a night. Rim protector, changes shot direction, doesn't overcommit, and is can sing you a song at the end.
Some good crew can he can put the Pokey Lounge into a raucous crowd. I was thinking about it, right? And because after that Adelaide game, there was a lot of like, well, I haven't got this guy, struggling, et cetera, et cetera. And I was thinking like the timing on some of the things that we've done over the last 2 months haven't been ideal. Like Bogut took so long to just retire. Like if at the end of the season he had just gone, I'm out, we're done, that's it, I'm done, I think we might have been able to prepare a little bit better. Like if we hadn't have had the JT and Weaver combo of taking, like, I'm not saying it's their fault, but like all of that kind of took a long time to just go, and he's out of here and scrambling around for a coach, and now we've got holes to fill. I'm wondering if that's had a huge issue because...
I think so. I never thought of the Bogut thing, but the Bogut thing probably, if he had retired last year, they would have been in talks with maybe Humphries or Bolden or Landale much sooner. And we kind of just got left to the end. And I mean, Jerome Martin's not a bad player by any stretch of the means for the NBL, but he doesn't fill the right void in the team. And the right void is we need a center who can play in the post and who can rim protect. Doesn't necessarily have to knock down mid-range shots. We seem to have enough shooters in the team at this point, but someone who can play in the post and rim protect. And at this point, Jerome Martin is just a great post player with very little rim protection because he's a power forward. He's definitely not a center, but is playing a fair few minutes at center because we can't play Hunter and Moller in the same team, in the same lineup. You have no offensive weapons on the floor when plays break down, and a lot of plays are breaking down. I don't see a lot of dial-up plays. I see some for Casper. I see a lot for DJ, which by all means, please keep dialing those up.
Yeah, definitely. And he looks like he can create a shot. And the other thing I was thinking, like pairing him and Casper together, like we've not necessarily stumbled onto DJ as a shot creator, but pairing, like finding that and then going, oh, let's plug this into what we have with Casper, and then issues we've got down low, and let's put a post guy in there in Jarrell. Like it kind of is just it's kind of formed together as a bit of like a tumorous mass where you're like, okay, this is kind of incoherent, messy offense. And I don't like Casper's shooting issues kind of also compound that.
Yeah, he's a shot. His shooting's got a little bit better, but I think what does compound it is the inability of, because you've got guys that are trying to score in lanes and taking up lanes like in Hunter and Moller, it doesn't allow a lot of free space for Cass to drive those lanes. And so like he should be pulling up from 17 feet 2 out of 3 shots.
Yeah.
That's his go-to shot. Get to that 17 feet and just pull up and hit it at 50%. But we're not even getting that. He's getting to the hoop and just getting absolutely munted and not getting calls, which is going to happen. You put it in the hands of the refs and that's going to happen. But when the plays break down, it's just like, why is Hunter calling for it in the post? That's just not.
Why are we tossing it to him? Why are we tossing it to Moller? We've been tossing it to Moller a little bit as well.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, like in that Adelaide huddle the other night, he was basically just like, whenever Moller's on the perimeter, sag off. We don't need to guard Moller because he can't hit threes and he's struggling to shoot the ball at the moment, and he doesn't have an out move. Like, it's not like Draymond where Draymond just keeps shooting him and you're just like, he's got to live with that. It's the NBA. Like, Moller doesn't have they're not guarding me on the 3-point line. I'm not going to shoot him. What I'm going to do is going to step in, and take it, or step in, 2 dribbles, find someone. And also in these broken plays, I don't know if we've got the roster makeup that we've got guys who just thrive in broken plays. Like, we kind of got guys, like DJ's really the only one I've seen thrive in that broken environment where he'll get a ball on a breakdown and can create something. Casper can, but you kind of at the point now.
Cooks
he could get inside and back down. But Casper's at this point now where I'm more like, I don't know if I want him shooting in these broken plays. Like, he's more of a negative. I feel negative every time he gets those broken down plays, and it's like, ugh.
Where he was most successful in Melbourne is the dial-ups. Let's dial up this play for Casper. Let's dial that up. It just seems like he's a guy you set your plays for. And when, they kind of had 50%, those 50% of breakdowns, it'd go to Goulding, who could create a shot out of nowhere, or McCarron, who could, shimmy his way around the rim and, drive to the hoop. But
that spacing, yeah.
We don't have that spacing, and we just don't have that ability. I think when Kick It gets back, we might be seeing a bit of post Kick It. I think we might be seeing a bit of post Kick It in these breakdown plays, which I'm more confident with than post Moller and post Hunter, to be honest with you. It's not been great.
Yeah, it's a bit worrying.
In that Brisbane game, it's just like, what is happening here? Why are you going? Why are you going at him? Why?
Yeah, well, but like, part of me is like, I like that. Okay, yeah, you had a crack at it, but at the same time, it just is bad, and there's no momentum from it either. Like, there's no rhythm to it. There's no momentum to it. It's not like, you give it here to get it back later somewhere else doing something else. Like, it's just like every play for Hunter, especially, we're ragging on him a bit, but every play for him seems to just be, get the ball and just do something. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just, I'm getting the ball and I'm doing something, and then 2 plays later, I'm getting the ball and just do this. And then it's just, it's not good. That dream shake that he had where then he went back over his right shoulder. Like, the dream shake was great, and then he kind of didn't want to lay it in with his left hand. He went back over his shoulder, and Hodgson just went, yeah, sweet, I'm waiting for this, bang. Like,
that's a big issue. He's not got any capabilities with the offhand, and you need to be, if you're going to be a post play, you need to be able to finish with both hands, and he just can't. And it's predictable. You know where he's going every time, and for a 7-foot big in Hodgson, it's just
yeah,
we'll just get your hands straight in the air, and you can't finish around. That is a real worry. Especially for a professional basketball player who's played 4 years. No, I'm being serious, man.
Yeah.
4 years in college. 4 years in college. This is his 3rd year. So he's been, had some sort of levels of basketball for 7 years, and, he's not confident. You don't have to be a shooter. You don't have to stretch the floor. But if your game is inside, you've got to be able to finish with both hands. Like, that's just, what are you doing? Like, that's your craft. I just don't feel like at this point, they've got an offensive craft. Moller's offense doesn't have an offensive craft. I like Moller's a hustle guy. Can get the dunk in open transition, crashes the boards really well. Gives you a lot of hustle.
He's actually, I think, our 2nd highest assister too, behind Sean Bruce.
Yeah, he's been throwing some good passes this year. That's a real worry that Casper Ware is not.
Well, really he's so 13. Sean Bruce is 13 assists. Then Moller's 12. Ware's 11. Terrell's 7. That's, I think, more of a worry is that beyond those 3, there's kind of nothing else happening there, really. Just looking at some of the other stats too, Hunter has the most blocks with 3. And that's like, after 4 games, it's like, whoa.
That was Cam Oliver in 1 game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think you got 2 on Cam Oliver, and one of them was a foul, definitely, as well. Jarrell's only got 2 blocks. Archie Woodhill on the.
Yeah, he was a bit. Oof.
Yeah,
He
those
was.
2 DPs were a
eh,
little bit. Ooh.
It's not defensive. It just feels like I don't even know what I'm doing in this
Development
lineup.
players. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, development players. It just feels like he got on the court. He goes, I have absolutely no idea what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah,
here."
it did feel a bit like that.
Just like maybe I can play basketball, but I have no idea in this situation what I actually do. And it's just like, oh, this doesn't look good. Like I'm all for development players, but it just seems like they're sitting on the bench and they're not included in training either. Like what
Yeah.
like
Well,
made you
40 was like, oh, they'd be training well. And I'd said to him the night before, be ready because you're probably going to get minutes in this Adelaide game. And I could see, yeah, obviously why we don't have Diddy. And that was a huge, huge sort of mess up in our rotation as well. He's going to play 20, 25 a night. But to go to Woodhill, was it Woodhill or was it Galloway? I think it was Galloway, like right out of the gate. Was like, whoa, like I think Newley got in foul trouble in the first quarter and then Galloway came straight out and you were just like, all right, like, baptism of fire. And you're right. He looked like he didn't really know what he was doing. I think he took 1 shot on the night, 1 turnover and 1 foul.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're bringing in a guy who knows what he's doing. Like I feel like there's the other teams in the league that have off the bench development players who actually have a purpose. Whereas, we've had Lockie Hutchinson hasn't been that great, and Banjo Talbot, I think even was the year before, and you were just like, whoa, 7-footer, like what's this guy's deal? It's the injuries, man. That's a huge worry. Are we in a position at the moment to start kind of going, well, we've got injuries. What can we do? Yep.
Yeah, I think there's a combination of we've got injuries and we're on the road, and so we're not in front of fans to kind of will us over the line against the Bullets. We're not got fans to will us over the line against the Taipans, or the 36ers. So I think that's a big thing. Home crowd advantage, man. They've got screaming fans at their games. It's always harder to win on the road.
That was a decent crowd too against Adelaide.
Yeah, man, decent crowds. It's good to see that these guys are getting some ticket sales, bringing revenue into the game. I think it's just kind of like, well, we wait and see what we can build. And, I'm sure a lot of the work would have been done with certain lineups and the injuries really hampered that. And, it is what it is for the time being, and we'll keep moving forward. We can just say to ourselves, at least we're not the breakers. Lamar Patterson on a donut.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's true. That Breakers team is a bit of a Frankenstein as well. The Webster brothers, though, have been all right. I could get in on one of the Webster brothers. Yeah, no takers on that.
No,
let that one go through the keeper. So we'll talk about this Brisbane game now. It was a 90-87 final score. Did it feel like 90-87 to you?
It felt like we were never in it.
Yeah, I kind of felt that as well. Harry Froling again with just another night of just like, pretty disappointing.
Yeah, it was just like 3 years ago. It's like, oh, this guy could be in the next NBA, and now he's just terrible.
Yeah, 13 minutes, 4 points, 2 of 8 against our, inside force that, we probably altered a few of his shots. I think somebody got a block on him as well. But yeah, and then Sobey coming out big.
Sobey's been playing well.
He has. I got to admit.
We've got to give it to him. He's been playing very well. Had 30 points the other night as well.
Couple of pretty soft and ones at the end too to seal the deal.
Just.
Yeah, a couple of It's like let's go down a ref hole before we get right into that Adelaide game. Like down the stretch of these games, they're calling like almost everything in rhythm of the home team because we're away. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you gotta accept that, understand that. And then you go back to last year where there was a lot of just like, man, can we get some home cooking at all this season? So I'm wary about that. But this Adelaide game was like, they just didn't call anything in the third and fourth quarter, like nothing. And I was kind of looking, I went back and looked at the box score, and Newley had foul trouble. Like instantly that ruined our rotation. He had foul trouble. And the first one just wasn't a foul. He turned and like swiped the ball clean. And they're like, foul. And I was just like, ugh. And then, so that messes with your lineups. But then to go to a third and fourth quarter where they're not calling anything, And then you look at some of these guys with like hardly any fouls. Like Humphries probably had 3 or 4 in that stretch where they were just straight up fouls. Giddy, I think, had one. DJ had one bad swipe on Casper that they just let go as well. That kind of changes the complexion of a game with this the foul trouble. Like Isaac Humphries finished on 4 fouls. So it's just, I thought it was a bit strange where I don't know if them not calling anything, like it helped us get into the game. But then again, like there was stretches there where guys could have fouled out but didn't because they weren't calling anything.
Yeah.
Which kind of hampered us.
With this replay system as well, that they kind of they just go to the replay that's invisible and they're like, no, that was.
Yeah, you don't see it. Do you like that? I'm actually kind of like, yeah, good. I kind of don't want to see them stuffing it up and then stuffing it up again. You know, like we had a little bit of that the last couple of seasons where they just be like, no, mate, I saw it and this happened. And then they just show a replay of like a foul, like a blatant like arm check foul. And you just be like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just like you get 2 of those and then he just called the no contact. He's like, oh shit, I better give him what I've just.
Yeah. Whoops. Oh, yeah. You get that. We've been getting that a little bit where they miss 2 calls and then they go up the other end and it's a foul and it totally just disrupts the rhythm of the game as well. I hate those ones. But yeah, I thought it was strange, and it kind of helped us get back into the game. So you can't get too salty about it.
Yeah,
it was like it really actually like helped us get back into the game. But Casper's still getting nothing. Like he's our most fouled player, but just he'll drive and just get crunched, man. And they're just like, nope, you get nothing. It's just like, whoa.
It's the Sydney syndrome. At Melbourne, he was getting calls all the time. So Randall, he used to get absolutely floored.
Drilled.
Like, get up, stop flopping.
There was a flop warning actually in that Adelaide game. I think it was the guy that looks like Taj Gibson. I can't remember his name. Sloaney boy, maybe.
Yeah, and that was actually a charge. It was
it probably was a charge too.
It was a charge. It's like, I mean, yes, he did fall over, but he had foot position. So, and then they called a charge, and it was just like he was clearly moving. Like,
yeah, Pinder, like the one where he was going left, and I made that tweet. I was like, if a guy falls over in the woods, does he get an offensive foul? And nobody's around to see it. Does he get an offensive foul? Because he was going sideways, like he was leaning like this, and then just like 100% charge. Oh, I hate those. It's just that's the one that really infuriates me when they get these dodgy charges where they're barely even set. And because oh man, that was pretty hectic. He flew across the court. Give him a charge, you know.
Just like you're flopping, and it's just like he fell over lightly, but he had foot position. Like he was literally planted. I was just like, oh, okay, that was a charge. But anyway, we'll continue to play. And then, you just get, there's very little consistencies. And I think that would be one that I would like to see go upstairs for quick review to see if the feet were sliding. You know, it's a foul, quick review, where they charge or block. You know what I mean? Because I think that does change momentum of games, especially for guys that go to take the charge. Like if you've just got full position, you're standing there and get absolutely munted. Yeah, it's a charge. But some of these guys specifically are moving their feet. They're not planted. And it's just, oh, that was clearly a charge. Or Andrew goes, yes, that was clear. It's just like, you don't understand the rules. He's moving.
Like for sure. Oh, that's great defense. And you're just like, it's a bit of a just wildly, I'm just chucking my body at a guy and then fall over. And it looks like a charge in real time. They're the ones that annoy me. And especially with Brad Newley too, where he'll get to the rim and have it on a player and then just get a charge call. And you're just like, come on, man, it's Newley. Like Newley doesn't, like Newley's got the Euro, he's got the bag of tricks. Like 9 times out of 10, he's not like offensively, taking a guy down.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
But back to this Brisbane game. So yeah, there was a couple of dodgy and ones at the end. And I thought Martin was fouled as well at the end. Probably should have shot an and one. When Kadir just jumped straight into him. They didn't even check that at all. Like Kadir was awful defense. He just kind of like flailed at Jarrell. Still laid it in, and Jarrell even came down kind of like, how's that not a foul type of thing? He's been getting fouled a little bit too, just getting nothing down under. And he's a guy that you can actually like in momentum find him under the basket, and he'll lay it in most times. Like he's got that slant, like to going to his right, he can slant out of the way of contact and lay the ball in. But I'm finding that like from about 6 to 7 feet, he doesn't have that catch and go. Like he doesn't have that explosiveness yet. I think it'll come in time. I think we'll get a bit fitter, and it'll like in the rhythm and the flow, the spacing of the offense of how we're trying to play. I think that'll get like he'll find that a little bit. He's kind of just settling for like that step back a little bit, like that in-out hook or the in-out step back a little bit. But I think he's really good actually at leaning his body and getting out of the way of contact and finishing at the rim. It's that NBA player that JT sort of had, where JT had the physicality, like he could use his body, he could bump you out of the way and finish. Like, but I feel like Jarrell's kind of got the angles that NBL guys kind of aren't really going to read yet. Like, it'll take them some time to read that. So I think that's been
It's more
part
about
of the way
offensive
he's
craft.
playing well. Yeah, he had 26 points. He was really good in that game.
Yes, he was. He was
10 of
definitely
15 underneath. He's not shooting the three ball very well, but he had 1 of 2 in this game. 11 boards. Clearly outstanding, like an outstanding performance. One of the best we've had this season.
Yep.
What's your takes? You feel like he's the right guy?
I feel like he's probably the best guy that we could have gotten. It feels like he's good enough to be that marquee. I just feel that just quietly Casper's not that marquee. Like, he's just kind of a guy that's been in the league for a long time here and just kind of like got that, oh, it's Casper Ware. And it's just like, he hasn't really been good for a couple of seasons. Like, he can get hot. He can have great games. But I just don't feel like he's the superstar dude. I just don't feel like this team has an NBL superstar on it.
Someone
I think
reliable.
last year we had 2 NBL superstars on, Bogut and JT. We had, like, the year before, it was Bogut. We had a superstar. I just don't feel like we've got a superstar on the floor this year. I think DJ can be that. I think he can probably be one of the best shooters in the league.
If he was our point guard, that'd be a lot better. Like, if you kind of Casper was just out of the mix.
I think so.
I think it'd work a lot better.
I think a lineup with him and Bruce on the floor would work quite well, because there was quite a bit of double teaming in that Brisbane game coming on DJ. And, I think teams are going to start really running him off the line a little bit more, and it's going to leave Bruce a little bit more free.
They're going to load up on him, and he's going to have to I think he's going to just shoot out of it, but he's going to have to find Casper or anyone else basically on the floor. Like, I think as the season goes on, we're going to get these lineups where there's going to be 2 guys that can shoot off of DJ's gravity. But that one of those guys is pretty much always going to be Casper Ware. And you're always kind of a little bit like, do we really want that? Like, I'm hoping, like, we're going to have to watch it, but I'm hoping that he kind of gets hot and starts shooting the 3 better. But, like, from what we've seen, you're kind of looking at that just going, I don't know if we want this. The other guy I'm hoping is going to be Bruce, but those starting minutes he's had in the first 3 games before he was kind of back to that bench role against Adelaide, he hasn't been good, man. I'd low-key see him as he's struggling, and especially in the broken spacing that kind of we've been having. Like, he hasn't had any shots. I think he's I don't have the stats actually in front of me. Oh, do I? Yeah, I do. Total shots attempted. It's coming up. 21, only 21 shots, 8 of 21. So if you put that in perspective, Casper's taken 63. DJ's 57. Jarrell 54. Brad Newley's taken more shots than Sean Bruce.
It's probably a good thing, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah, quietly, Brad Newley's just shooting the 3 ball at 63%, 7 of 11.
He's
taking the right ones, man. Taking the right ones. Corner Brad's best Brad. I think, low-key, Sean Bruce is a bit of a like, ooh, that's a bit of an issue.
Yeah, because he's got good facilitation skills. I just think that, we need some more scoring. We've got a center, a backup center. We just don't have a lot of depth in the scoring option with Cooks, Diddy, and Kick it off the floor. It's a bit of a struggle.
So to take us into this Adelaide game, he was obviously dropped to the bench. So we started that game with Ware, Martin, Craig Moller, Brad Newley. So Brad Newley came into the starting lineup, and I was like, yes, that's kind of the right move to make.
Yeah.
Shawnee Bruce kind of goes back into that bench role, but you see very quickly it's like, he's the glue guy. Come on, I'm going to glue this team together. And then you're like, what are you gluing together now that we're kind of injury ravaged? There's nothing, these lineups aren't good. Like, there's nothing to glue for him. Like that's kind of where I'm going with this, is like Sean Bruce I'm glue guy. It's like, there's nothing to glue together in that second unit really anymore. Because Newley's kind of into the starting lineup, like Hunter, Tommy Vaudeville, and then the development players, with the odd Moller and odd Martin lineup.
Yeah, it is really. We are just injury ravaged, unfortunately, and that's going to take a big toll until at least Kickett's back.
Mm.
I think I think we can miss Diddy for a little while in that 2-3 position, but I mean, Kickett's a 50-40-90 guy.
Yeah.
Like that's
And a like a unique scorer for the grand. Like it'll break systems where he's a 4 that can play 5 and score the ball.
Yeah.
The other thing too, Glover's diagnosis wasn't as bad as we thought as well. It's 4 weeks.
Yeah.
It was just a sprain. That's huge news. Still in a sense for him, like he's had another bad injury. You're always kind of going, oh man, I hope he comes back and plays well. You're going to always be worrying about that knee. But yeah, it's great news for him. I think he, as a scorer, can kind of give this team a lift. Like I think he'd only taken like 3 or 4 shots, 5 shots in his time in the first 2 games before he got injured. But I think he has that potential to knit this team together a little bit.
He does need to take more of an ominous role in the bench lineup. He needs to be like, okay, this is my rotation where Sean's not shooting. That's fine. I'm going to take on more of that scoring role, and give the options to rest DJ and Casper in the right situations where you're not just, okay, now we're going to bring them back in because they've gone an 8 run and Moller and Hunter have broken down 3 times in offense. And it's just like, well, now you got to throw them back in and they're playing more minutes. They're playing heavy minutes and they're playing back-to-back weeks. And, you've got to be able to, participate in continuing the scoreline, and putting some runs on the board in order to stop this kind of, oh shit, we're 9 points down. Oh, we got to get DJ and Casper back in.
Because DJ subbed himself out in this game. He had that hot start to the game. I think he had 12 points or 12 or 13 points in the first quarter.
Casper kept playing 35 minutes against the Bullets, which is quite high. And against 36s, he played.
He had 33. 34
minutes.
15 points, 6 of 15, 2 of 9 from 3.
It's just not acceptable.
And missing open ones too. They're the ones that, like, I get he can take some chucks and you go, yeah, they're those chucks. But he's missing some open ones too where you're just like, and badly too, like a couple like really hitting the base of the rim hard. You're like, oh, this is kind of feels like a little bit mental, but he only knows one way is to shoot his way out of it, really. Which we kind of just got to live with. In this Adelaide game, Jarrell Martin, he had 13 points, 4 of 9. His inside game's kind of negated by DJ and Humpho, the Twin Towers. And it was, I guess Brisbane was kind of our first taste of 7-foot big men that protect the rim.
Yeah.
And that we kind of stumbled at that. And then we went headfirst basically into Adelaide. That was, 2 guys that defend the rim. Humpho had 2 blocks. Pinder had 2 blocks. But those 2 guys kind of, really nullified our inside game. And it kind of leaves you going, ew. Like, where do we go from here, boys? And I was just looking at these lineups. So we got a 10-man, we had a 10-man rotation in this game against Adelaide. But 2 of those guys were development players. Yeah. So it really was an 8-man rotation. Like, holy moly. Like, we're really thin.
Yeah, Galloway, 15 minutes. Took 1 shot. You're right. Turnover. Yeah. And 1 foul.
Good afro, though. That afro is solid. +7 on the night. Glued it together. It was good.
Good time.
But yeah, Humphreys, we should talk about his night. Pretty good night for him. 27 points. Scary looking, man.
He's NBA quality. He is. I think that he'll find his niche in the NBA as a backup center because he can score the ball, he can defend the rim, and he can shoot the 3. Like we've seen that in the G League. He can shoot the 3. It's just he hasn't. He got a bit of injury, and then this COVID thing hit, and wanted to come back home. But his path is NBA. He definitely will get back there, I think, which will be good to see. He's still young though. That's the thing. Like, this is what his 4th professional year.
Yeah. He played college? Yeah, he played college, didn't he?
He played college, and then he played G League for.
No, or did he come?
He played here.
Yeah.
Played here for a season, rookie season, and then went. But no, he's NBA quality, and we can definitely see that.
Yeah, that was a worry. DJ, these in out. So coming up on Saturday is the rematch. Basically, I'm not looking at this rematch going, you know what, we could turn these three things around. I'm looking at this just going, this is going to do the same things. They in out with DJ. Basically, they put him on the perimeter, switch him. Humphries is inside a couple of times. They just roasted us with that. Basically, everyone flocks straight out to DJ, knowing that we can't get up in his 3-point shot. One, and then helping off of that, 2 passes away is Humphrey, basically wide open under the basket. Also, like, how many times has Casper been, guarding bigs? Have you noticed this year where you're just like, what the hell? Like, guys, like, where are we? What are we doing here?
Our switching is terrible. It really is. Defensive switching is just non-existent at the moment.
It's got to have happened maybe 10 or 11 times where you're just like not in a scenario where a guy gets a switch and you're just like, oops, look out. Okay, they fixed it. Like, a few times it's just like they have like 3-4 seconds to get the guy the ball on Casper, and you're just sitting there going, wow, like, are we really just letting this happen? Like, we're just like, yeah, Casper, guard Humphries, mate. Have a crack at it. It's like Kyrie styles Boston. Like, I'm going to guard Giannis. Like, it's almost like that. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's just.
But yeah, Humfer 27 points, DJ 16. He can always knock down those threes. Yeah, only had 1 or 4, but he still knocked down a pretty big one when we were going on that run in the 3rd and 4th. DJ's night, we should talk about that. What a night! Just absolute
shoot fest.
Flaming
bombs, flaming fades, flaming step backs.
3 of 12 from 3, 9 of 11 from 2. I like that inside game. Him getting to the he's going to get injured, man. I tweeted this clip where he went in for a floater, basically landed on that guy from Brisbane, like their development guy, who everyone was, oh, great game, and then like injures Diddy, getting under Diddy. It's like, bro, like, you're really not a great big. Can you just get out of the way of our like NBA guys? Just get out of the way of those guys. Don't injure them. And then DJ had a floater that basically landed on him, went down, and the ref's like, nah. And it's just like, dude's going to get injured, man. Like, if we got guys like stepping into shooters like that. But I think he ended up having a couple of fouls. He only shot 2 free throws for the amount of times he was getting, inside.
Yeah, it's statistically improbable.
Yeah, it's a bit of a worry, but I think he'll get to the line. He's only a rookie. He'll get to the line a little bit more this year. But yeah, I think his inside game is good, man. It's something that I haven't really seen from Diddy. Like, Diddy's inside game looked good when he was playing overseas, and some of that G League stuff, some of the summer league, he looked good inside. And you're like, ooh, this is good, but we haven't seen it at all. It's a worry.
No, it is a worry. We haven't seen prime Diddy since that kind of middle of last year, middle of last season. It really hasn't. His injuries, his back, he's got a lot of chronic lower back issue, man, which is a bit of a worry at his age as well.
And they obviously, him getting that ankle injury, he'll be out for 4 weeks. I don't know. I saw that and I was like, that looked like a couple of months, man. Like, it looked pretty bad sprain. He rolled that pretty good. You're always worried when they're all the way up, coming down on it. Like, it's not like he took a step or like he was initiating like a face up or a back down and stepped on someone. Like, he was up getting that board and their big just stepped straight under him. I'm just like, stop. Like, no. Like, get out of the way of dudes who are getting paid like 60 times as much as you. What are you doing? So that's a worry. That's a huge worry. Newley wasn't that great in this Adelaide game. Foul trouble. Ended up with 3 fouls, but those timely fouls, that 3rd foul came in the 2nd quarter. Basically, they just sit, and we just couldn't score the ball at all in that 2nd quarter.
No,
it was horrible. 12 points and then 15 in the 3rd. We really struggled. What are the notes have I got here? First burgers from Craig Moller of the season. Missing those 2 free throws. That wasn't good. So how many free throws did we shoot in this game? 10 of 16. So we did shoot the ball well, apart from those 2 misses from Craig Moller. Fouls. Yep. This would have been an absolute burglary if we won that game. And I think I posted we'd pod it and I'd be wearing a ski mask if we won that game. Because that would have been an absolute burglary. There was, I was saying to you before we started, I was embarrassed for Adelaide. Like, that was a 5-point game. You guys suck. Like, you almost bottled that. And then, the high trap, full court press actually made us look good.
Yes.
And I was like,
just do that the whole game.
But yeah, Is it viable? I don't know if
No, it's
Casper's
pretty tiring.
but I don't know if Casper has that on ball. Like we saw him get that really good steal against Giddy. But apart from that, kind of it's like he gets rinsed and then they just switch bigs onto him and, got inside mismatches and switching and it gets a bit messy. And then, we need bigs. SOS. We need a big rim protector. All right, let's move forward to tipping. 3, 2, 1. Sorry, first.
Yep. So for the Brisbane game, I have Joel Martin with 3.
Jarrell. Yep, I also had Jarrell Martin.
I have DJ with 2.
Yeah, I also had DJ.
I had Newley with 1.
Newley, I went with Ware. Could have been either or. I think Ware kind of willed us in there late. A bit of an emotional pick on my part.
Yeah, a bit of will. And for the Adelaide
game, DJ,
3.
and DJ.
DJ 3. DJ takes them all. I had DJ 3. I had Ware with 2, and then the 1 was kind of just very hard to give.
Can Ware get 1 as well as the other guy? You know what I mean? That was how I was feeling.
It's kind of like 2 of 9. I just don't have but no one else really had a great night as well.
So who was your 1?
Jarrell
Martin. Yeah, I had DJ Ware Newley. Even though I just said Newley didn't play that well, but still. I might change that to Jarrell actually because he kind of struggled a little bit inside. So that is round 3 in the books. Just add that. Shout out to everyone. If you want to do fan MVP, get in there. We're getting more traction on that. So if you want to give 3, 2, 1, get on those posts. Don't be shy. I'm not going to hold it against you. We're collecting a little bit more data now, which is good. So tips.
Melbourne.
Let's read them out. So we've got that postponed game. We have no idea when that's going to be played. Perth at home to the Breakers. And then obviously we've got another postponed game, Perth and the Breakers, which is another game. So people out there watching along, stick with us. I'll try to make sure we minimize missing anything or stuffing it all up because this has the potential to get pear shaped with the way they're moving games around. All right, Brisbane at home to United. I also had United. Perth at home to the Breakers. We'll tip it anyway because you can always change it whenever you feel like it.
It won't be at home.
It'll be postponed to a later date.
Okay.
So who knows what they're going to do? Whether they just go round 16, we're bringing it back. Bring back the band.
We'll have like an extra week just.
You're playing a Tuesday, Thursday, midweek. Eat it. You know what I mean?
I'll go Perth at home then.
Perth. I can't believe they missed that game winner. I was watching it just going, sweet, this will be some sort of elaborate game winner where they just and a twirl and Wagstaff under the bucket and misses the layup. It was like, you pig. Can't believe that. Taipans at home to the Bullets.
I'm gonna go Taipans. I'm holding hope.
I went Taipans bounce back. They got some things to work out. They're 1-4. No, they're 1-5, I think. Let me just double check that. They are. I don't have the ladder handy. My computer's being annoying. 36ers at home to the Kings. Yeah, I think they're 1-5. 36ers. Yeah, I went with 36 as well. I think I need points. And I'm thinking about doing a video of what we can't do against the 36ers in the next game if I can get it out in time because I don't think we can do anything. I think that Humphries is just going to have another 20-plus night. DJ's going to go off. Sunday Detch, man, how did we not snag him? How good was he? He hit those 3 shots at the end. I think he had 2 where he had just layups, line drive layups, and then the third one we were just like, all right, finally get a guy over there. I think it was Newley, almost blocks his shot. He misses that. We get a chance to kind of bring it up the other end. And I was just like, how do we miss out on this guy, man? Phoenix at home to the Hawks.
I'm gonna go the Hawks.
Yeah, same. Hawks 5. I know the Gorge, man. United at home to Perth.
United.
I went United, but I have a feeling Perth might win that. Just like, oh, look, here's Perth coming in and beating United, who are 6-0. Taipans at home to the Breakers, which is now moved to Saturday.
Taipans.
All right, and that is tips.
Good times.
And we will see you guys. No, well, well, what else do we got? Because we're pretty much over time. We're at 50 minutes here.
Yeah.
It's been a like a reflective tone on this pod. I think reflecting. It's been cathartic. I'm sitting here in a position of just we can't expect this team to be great. I can't look at this team and just go, you know what? I expect this team to be top 2 finish, man. I'm looking at it just going, this could slide off a cliff and be, end the season 6-18.
It could do. I think let's just wait for these injuries to kind of get back into it.
Sitting on the fence, eh? It's not like you.
I'm going to sit on the fence on this one.
Alrighty, and as always, you can like and subscribe on Facebook. If you're watching now, hit that like button. If you want to watch them on YouTube, you can. We upload these on YouTube. We also upload these on Apple Podcasts, and we're working on Podcast Addict. I thought I did that for the last one, but we'll check. I'll get Andy to double check. I don't have Android, so I can't check. Yeah, as always, like, share, and subscribe everywhere, and we will see you guys next time
on the King's Dime.